Chapter 13, Section 13.3 Addition Rule for any two events. What is the addition rule for events A and B? It is probability of A or B equal probability of A plus probability of B minus probability of A and B. Let me write this down using notation. Probability of A or mean union B equal probability of A plus probability of B minus probability of A and mean intersection A and B. So we can bring this intersection part to the left and union part to the right. Let me explain what I mean. Probability of A intersection B is probability of A plus probability of B minus probability of A union B. Now you see here union, so here intersection, and I change the order, then this is intersection and this is union. Now let me explain this using Venn diagram. So there are two events A and B and the sample space S. So this is A, this is B. Probability of A plus probability of B. Okay, probability of A is the probability in A, right? So I color this. So this is the A. Then probability of B, then it means everything in B, right? Here, whole thing. If you add these two together, you see this middle part or common part were added twice. You see that this one added twice, but we need to add that part just one time. Therefore, what we do, we subtract probability of A intersection B. Then this equal, now you understand this is probability of A union B. So that is the explanation using Venn diagram. Now let me explain this example 6. Motor vehicles sold in the United States are classified as either cars or light trucks and as either domestic or imported. Light trucks include SUVs and minivans. Domestic means made in Canada, Mexico, or the United States, so that a Toyota made in Canada counts as domestic. In a recent year, 77% of the new vehicles sold to individuals were domestic. 52% were light trucks and 44% were domestic light trucks. Choose a vehicle sale at random. Find the following probabilities. First of all, we have to understand how many events in there. So how many events you think? You can say 3 events. But basically we do have 2 events. What are those? You see this is domestic. So I use D, and light truck. So I use T then for the truck. Then here you see domestic light trucks. So what is the domestic light truck from D and T? It is domestic and light truck. That means domestic and light truck. So we can write this information using these two events. So let me write these given informations. So 77% of the new vehicles sold in individuals are domestic. Therefore, probability of domestic is 77% mean 0.77. Next, 52% were light truck. So, probability of T equal 0.52. Now go to the last part. It is 44% were domestic light trucks. 44% were domestic light truck, mean domestic and light truck, that is 0.44. First one, probability of domestic or mean we know that is union light truck. So what is the equation we use? We need to find union O, so we use this one, first equation. You know, both are the same, but isolate the union part. This equal probability of D plus probability of T minus probability of D intersection T. So you can plug the numbers 0.77 plus 0.52 minus 0.44. This is 0.85. You can write this in decimals or you can write in percentage. So that is the percentage 85%. Before I go to the second, let me explain how to use Venn diagram to represent this data. So Venn diagram, we have the sample space S and two events, I said D and T. Then what is the sample space here? So you should understand that as well. Sample space is the motor vehicles sold in the United States. That is the sample space. That is the S. Now, what is the first region we should consider? The common region. That means this middle part, right? This. First we need to get the number for that part. What is that? That is the probability of D intersection T, right? Probability of D intersection T, that is 0.44. Then you see probability of D here 0.77. So in this circle, in the D, probability is 0.77. 0.44 is in D, right? Then how do we find the only D part? We know the whole thing of D is 0.77. Then only common area is 0.44. Therefore, only D part is 0.33. We subtract the common area, that means the intersection part, from the whole number from the probability of D. It is 0.33. Similarly, we can find the only T, only light truck. How do we find the only light truck? What is the probability of T? It is point here 52. Therefore, in the circle T, it must be 0.52, right? So 0.52, but intersection is 0.44. Therefore, this is 0.08. So this is 0.08. We are not done yet. Don't forget the area out of the circles. So how do we find the area out of the circles? We know the sample space is S and probability of the sample space is 1. It means this here rectangle, right? So that is 1. Then 1 minus summation of the rest, 0.33 plus 0.44 plus 0.08. So then what is the answer? It is 0.15. Therefore, 0.15 should be out of the circles. So this is the complete Venn diagram for this example. Second one. What is the second one? Ask in the imported car. probability of imported cars. Okay, how do we identify this? Now let me explain this Venn diagram. Point 33. Okay, what is this point 33? Okay, this point 33 in the D. What is the D mean? D is the domestic. Therefore, this should be domestic, right? Because it is in the D. And also it is out of the light track. We here represent T, it means out of the T circle, that means out of the light track, right? If it is not light track, according to the problem, you see it is classified as here either cars or light trucks. Then the circle T represents the light track. Then out of the circle T, what represent what? Cars, right? It is cars. Therefore, that cars here, because there are two group here. What are those? Either cars or light trucks. So the T is the light trucks. Therefore, out of the T circle, that is the cars. The point 33 is the probability of domestic cars. Similarly, let me explain this. Point 08 is in the light truck. Therefore, definitely it should be light truck. And also, it is out of the D. What is the D? D is the domestic. If D is domestic, then what is the out of the D? You see here, domestic or imported. We classify that there are two groups, domestic or imported. That means if it is not domestic, that should be what? Imported. Therefore, this point 08 is probability of imported light truck. Imported light truck equal 0.08. Now let me explain this 0.15. What is the 0.15? Okay, it is out of the D. Out of the D means it is not domestic. If it is not domestic, it should be imported. And also 0.15 is out of the T. That means it is not the light truck. If it is not the light truck, it should be cars. Therefore, what is that probability? That number is the probability of imported cars. That is 0.15. Now go to the number 2. It's asking probability of imported car. You already have the answer. What is that? 0.15. Example number 7. Of all college degrees awarded in the United States, 50% are bachelor's degrees, 59% are earned by women, and 29% are bachelor's degrees earned by women. Make a Venn diagram. To make a Venn diagram, first we need to understand how many events we have here. First, it explains about the bachelor's degrees. So, I write down here B for that events. Then 59% are earned by women. I take this event W. Then next one, bachelor 29% are bachelor's degrees earned by women. How do we write this event using W and B? That is bachelor's degrees and women. So there are two major events and the intersection. So let me write down given information. 50% are bachelor's degrees, that is probability of B equal 0.5. 59% are earned by women, so probability of W equal 0.59. The last one, probability of B intersection W, that means B and W equal 0.29. Now we know there are two events, so we can start to draw the Venn diagram. And here the sample space. What is the sample space of this problem? They are talking about all college degrees awarded in the United States. Therefore, the sample space should be the all college degrees awarded in the United States. Now, go to the Venn diagram. There are two events. Here, I say B and W. You know probability of B is 0.5. It means in the B circle, probability is 0.5. Then probability of W is 0.59. First we need to understand the intersection. Here intersection is given, it is 0.29. Now we can fill the rest of the regions. First go to the B event. So event B is 0.5 and intersection is 0.29. Therefore we need to fill this one. How do we fill that part? That is the only B part. Whole area of B probability is 0.5, then intersection is 0.29. We subtract 0.29 from 0.5, that is 0.21. So you can write here 0.21. It is the only B. Similarly, only W, total probability of W is 0.59 and intersection is 0.29, therefore subtract, that is 0.3. 0.3 goes here. Then we need to fill the area out of the circles. So how do we find the probability out of the circles? We know the sample space, always probability is 1. Therefore 1, now we subtract all the probabilities in circles. First 0.21 plus 0.29 plus 0.3. Add them together, subtract from 1. It is 0.2. Now we complete the Venn diagram. If you need to make sure if you complete this correctly, so add all probabilities, then it must be 1. Now, number 1. What percent of all degrees are earned by men? How do we find the probability of men? We know probability of women. So, probability of men equal 1 minus probability of women. Therefore, 1 minus 0.59, it is 0.41. So, this probability is 0.41. They are asking percentage. We can say 41%. Second one, what percent of all degrees are bachelor's degrees earned by men? Now let me explain this Venn diagram. First, let me explain this point 2. This point 2 is out of the circles. That means out of the B, bachelor degrees, and W, women. So it is out of the bachelor degrees. Therefore, the point 2 is not the probability of bachelor degrees. Therefore, it should be degrees other than bachelor degree. Why? We consider all college degrees awarded in the United States and B represent the only bachelor degree. Therefore, out of the B should be the degrees other than bachelor. Right, then go to the W. W represents the women, but this point 2 out of the W as well. Therefore, this should be then men. Therefore, what is the point 2? Point 2 is the probability of degrees other than B earned by men. So that is point 2. Now let me explain point 21. How do we decide this point 21? Point 21 is in the bachelor degree. Therefore, it should be bachelor. And it is out of the women. Therefore, it should be men. Now we can say probability of bachelor degrees earned by men. That is 0.21. Now let me explain number 3. Are the events earning bachelor degrees and being a man independent? How do we check independent? We know if A and B are independent, A intersection B equal probability of A times probability of B. So we can use this one to show or check if these two are independent or not. So let me write down this equation for the example asking are the event earning bachelor degrees? Yes, the event is B, this one, and being a man is this event is M. Therefore, probability of M and B equal probability of M times probability of B. If this is true, we can say M and B are independent. So we need to check this one. We don't know yet. First, probability of M and B. That means probability of men and bachelor. We have that already here. This is the second one. If you go to the second one, that is the probability of bachelor degrees earned by men. Therefore, that is 0.21. Then we will check probability of M times probability of B. We know probability of M, it is first one, it is 0.41. Probability of B is, we know that is 0.5. This answer is 0.205. Now you see these two values are not equal, not the same number. Therefore, we can say these two events are not independent.